Alright guys, so can I get a radio check? Can you guys hear me? Perfect, thank you, Luke. So let's go ahead and get this thing going. Thank you, Alexander. So what we're gonna do today is we're going to do a short version of the Checkride, of the new VATSIM private pilot license P1 Checkride. We're gonna do it as per it's asked for. We're gonna do it on clear weather. We will do it on VATSIM. We're gonna be on Unicom the whole time. And I'm gonna go through some of the requirements, some of the notes I've taken and whatnot. We're not gonna go through the whole thing. We're just gonna go ahead and kind of skip through the things that to me seem like matter the most about this Checkride. So right now I'm parked at Kilo Alpha Sierra Tango. I should have about 20 gallons of fuel, which of course more than plenty. I won't be using autopilot. I won't be using GPS, but I will be using the ForeFlight, just a VFR section on shards. Um, I'll tell you what, I'll open this chat just in case you guys have any questions while I speak. But so, not sure if you guys can see this. I try to dim down the brightness of it. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off out of runway 26. We're gonna make a right turn. We're gonna go out to this river. We're gonna fly out to the river. We're gonna turn east, and on that climb, we're gonna be climbing to about 3,500 feet. Whenever we hit 3,500 feet, I will do. We're gonna do a. I'm gonna do a. Is it a right or left 360? It don't matter on the thing. It asks you to do a couple 360s. I think it's one of on each side. But I will do. Yeah, I'll do a right 360. And as soon as I'm done with that right 360, I'm gonna go ahead and make a 180. And that 180, I'm gonna be doing a climb to 4,500. Whenever we get to 4,500, we're going to do a slow flight, and we're gonna set flaps to. Let me check. What do I think? We're gonna set flaps to 30. So yeah, so we're gonna set flaps to 30, and we're gonna keep a speed of 65 knots without losing that much of altitude. Whenever I accomplish that, then I'm gonna go ahead and go into a stall. And I'm gonna do it simple. I'm not sure if this is the right way to do it, but I'm just gonna go ahead and put back on the throttle and let the airplane lose airspeed until we start losing the altitude. When we start losing altitude, then just recover and bring it right back to 4,500 feet. All of that without losing too much of a heading, keeping it within the same heading. Then we'll climb back up to 4,500. Then we're gonna go ahead and come back into what is it called? Astoria. Yeah, Astoria. I'm sorry. We're gonna come back to Astoria, and we're gonna do a touch and go. I guess it will be on the same runway 26, and then we're gonna do a left traffic pattern on. We're gonna do a pattern back onto 26, and then just complete it for a full landing. A couple of disclaimers. This is not the full Checkride. A lot of the things that I told you we're going to do, you have to repeat them a couple of times. You know, you got to do a weather briefing, which if we're to do one very quickly, even though we're flying on clear weather, winds are about 330 at 11. So, you know, 32 might be a good runway. So I might just change my mind and take off out of 32, right? And then if anything, I'll just come back from 2.6, so it's a little bit quicker. We'll just do, like I said, a weather briefing. The only thing that matters to me is the winds. I don't care about the altimeter, none of that, because I'm not flying with real weather. But I want to know the wind, so I know which runway to use, right? Then after that, the next section talks a little bit about weather. Oh yeah, we did say weather briefing. The cross country planning. And the reason is you're gonna be planning to do a flight to a particular airport, and then that's gonna be canceled midway, and then you start doing some other things, and then return back to your original airport. That's how, at least how VATSTAR is doing it. Um, Give a briefing on a couple of things like engine failure, engine fire during start, takeoff, and things like that. But we're gonna skip a lot of that, right? Airspace. We know we're gonna be using Unicom. We know we're gonna be clear of just about any major airport, so we should be fine to do all the stuff that we're doing. I'm not going to focus too much on talking with Unicom. I'm just going to do my basic calls, and then I'm just going to come back in. And then we'll go through the whole engine run up before we take off. Just a basic, simple one for taxiing, takeoff, navigation. And it says here one of the requirements is that you maintain file altitude, which is 3,500 on the way there, 4,500 on the way back, and we had to keep that within 300 feet difference and the heading of a 20-degree difference. Then it says here, talks about the steep turns, and that's the 180-degree turn that I'm going to make climbing to 4,500. Even though it doesn't tell you to climb, I'm going to be doing that climb to integrate it and make it a little bit quicker. Talks about 2 360 turns. I'm only doing one. Slow flight, we talked about that. Power, just a stall, and then the traffic pattern. And then come back and normal approach and landing, go around, post-flight procedure, so like shutting down the airplane and all of that. So I already memorized this thing. I'm not going to keep the paper around, but that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be taking off out of runway 32, and then just a right turn out on the river, make all of those things. A couple of things I want to make sure you guys know is that I'm not an instructor of VATSTAR. I'm not a real-life pilot. I'm not a licensed pilot, not a student pilot, none of that. So I'm just showing you what I have been told that would work for a Checkride. There's a lot better qualified people to do this flight than me. But, I figured since PTD is down, VATSTAR is down, why not just show you the setup and fly around a little bit with you guys. So I say let's go ahead and get this thing going. Alright, so going on the batteries, and I'm gonna try to see if you guys can see much of the stuff. So yeah, you see my fuel tanks is sitting about 20 gallons there. I have my nav light on, beacon light. I'm gonna throttle full, make sure full fuel pump, and my fuel pump, I'm gonna wait for it to hit 5 and I'm gonna turn it off. That's good enough. And then throttle back, and then I'm gonna push the throttle in just about a little bit. That's too much, I think. And then now we're good to start the airplane. And how I start the airplane, well, of course, just do that, and then whenever I hear the engine cracking, make sure full ridge, parking brake, of course, is set. And let's go. Alright, I said that was a successful start, but now I'm looking at my RPMs, a little under 1,000. I'm going to put them right back up to 1,000. Now that you guys see, now that you guys have the engine running, if you guys can give me a radio check, just let me know that you guys can hear me fine. So I'm not lost behind the engine, the sound of the engine, right? So if you guys can tell me if you guys can still hear me, that'll be great. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Alright, so Of course, I'm here waiting for my temperatures to come up and all of that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and calibrate a couple things. I'll make sure that all this stuff is on 0. I'm tracking to 28, so let me fix this real quick. Perfect. Now I'm gonna go ahead and beg to someone to give me a radio check on Unicom. Anybody can give me a radio check, please? And if we don't get it, it's no big deal. But let me just be sure that I am connected, right? And it does look like it that way. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start taxiing to runway 3, 2. And I'm going to turn on the brightness now a little bit, if you guys don't mind that. And first thing I'm going to check, which I should have done even before this thing, check my brakes. And they work. And to me that's a big deal because sometimes stuff here don't hook up. So Astoria traffic, November 2 and I don't Quebec, taxiing to runway 32. Astoria traffic.
Astoria traffic, radio check.
5x5.
Same to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Edward. Now another disclaimer I wanted to tell you guys, a lot of the things that I'm doing here is not how Cessna tells you to do things. It's not done by a checklist, even though I have them there. I just do them out of what I remember. So by that I mean that I'm not doing them right. So well, I'm doing it my way, which works, but don't trust everything I ever do, right? But this is something cool I just started noticing yesterday on the 4Flight app. If you have it, is now traffic shows in there. I've seen it before and then it kind of went away, and then it just came back. You know what? And let's go ahead and take off out of this taxiway. We have about just enough runway to take off from here, and this thing barely takes any runway to actually take off. But we're gonna stop here. We're gonna set up our brakes and we're gonna do a run up. A real quick one. So for my run up, I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to go ahead and put my RPMs. I'm going to go ahead and put my RPMs to 1700. Yep, that's too much. And of course I do that while my parking brakes are set. The airplane is not going anywhere. First thing I'm going to go ahead and do is test my magnetos that do not drop any more than 1,000, right? So I'll go in the left one. And they dropped about 16. That's all good. Going back to both. 17. Now let's go to right. And that's all fine and handy. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a couple more tests, which is to... well, if you have an actual Cessna, you do a bunch more things, but we don't have that, so I'm just going to push back on my throttle. I'm going to push it all the way back to idle, and I'm going to see if my airplane turns off. You see the RPM's dying, but airplane still runs, so I'm going to put it back to 1,000. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn off my alternator. Alternator turns off, but I still have power, so all good to go. You see that volt warning come on, so we're good to go. So that is a short version of a run-up for me. I'm going to go ahead and throw down my flaps. Down one. I'm going to turn on my landing, taxi, and strobe light. I'm going to go ahead and turn on, I'm going to start squawking mode Charlie, which if you're familiar to VATSIM, I should have done that right from the gate or the ramp. But now I'm squawking mode Charlie on 1200. So I'm going to go ahead and call it in and take off. And Astoria traffic, November 2 and I don't Quebec, departing runway 32 straight out for Astoria traffic. If I only knew how to actually say the airport name. Let's go for it.
Approaching runway 1432. Entered runway 32, 3,300 feet remaining.
Alright, we're going to slowly advance that throttle while pushing right on the pedal. And we're looking for about 55 knots. There's my 55. Holding about 73. I want to go ahead and go a little bit faster, so I'm going to turn down my climb rate. I'm going to go ahead and push up my flaps. There we go. My speed went up to about 80. And again, now I'm just going to go ahead and fly out to the river and making a climb to 3,500. A couple of the rules is that you do not use your autopilot, so that's the one thing here. So we just hit 1,000 feet. Now, most likely to make this a little bit quicker and easier too, I'm gonna go ahead and land on runway 26. I'm gonna try to do everything parallel to that runway, even if I'm far back. What I like to do is every once in a while just bring out the chat and if you guys answer some of your questions. And Michael, man, everything is lovely in this setup. Yeah, I was reading some of your questions, but everything is going great on this setup. I have a couple of tweaks that I need to be doing, but man, this is about the coolest toy that I have in this house is this setup. So I appreciate every minute that I get to fly in it. It is expensive, but honestly, I tell anybody, it took years for me to find the right seller of all of this stuff. And you would not believe if I ever told you how much I actually bought this entire, not the setup, I built this thing, but all of these gauges, the monitor behind it and all of that, you would not believe how much I actually spend on it. Pretty cheap. When am I integrating the 750? I have a couple of things here. I'm not sure if you guys will be able to see them, but I have a Real Sim Gear 530, I have the 750, and then I have a 430. The 750, I'm not going to add it to the setup. I'm going to build a whole new setup. And then I'm going to add the 750, eliminating about all of this stuff right here. I got to test it yesterday and it was awesome. But I'm not going to do it also until I have my, until I got to do a couple training videos for a Real Sim Gear. That was the deal we made. And once I make those videos, then I'll go ahead and start building on it. I'm very excited. And also, you guys gotta remember, if you don't know this, we are giving away the 430. We are gonna give that away on a trivia game. More information should be coming soon about that. Alright, so we just hit 3,500. I'm trying to go ahead and just get a little stable there. Perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and set up my heading bug so I know where I am and where I need to go. while keeping 3,500. Alright, now I know I said I was going to make some right 360s and such, but I'm actually going to make them left because the runway is to my right. I don't want to get nowhere there. So first is first, keeping a no more than a 300 feet difference. I'm going to make a left 350, and we come back to the same heading. We're going to come back to east, and what's it called? And 3,500. So let me go ahead and just get stable a little bit first, and we'll get there. And I gotta need to work on my trim. And there we go. Best advice that I can ever give anybody. And I get to show you guys the screen a little bit. Look at the gauges. Don't be looking out so much. If you want to keep those things, you know, 3,500, a steady turn rate, and your speed. It's okay for it to be wobbly. What you want to do is you want to keep it around 3,500 or whatever altitude you decide to go to. The thing that kills the most, makes it so much harder about doing this thing, and by the way, that's a 180-degree turn there. What makes it so much harder about doing this thing is you're concentrating in so much, right? You're looking at your climb rate, you're looking at your altitude, right? Then you're looking at your turn rate, and then also you're paying attention at your airspeed, right? And it's just so much. I'm trying to keep my turn rate right at that same line, so it's the same steady circle, and I come back right at the same place that I left. But I have about 90 degrees to go. And so far everything is looking great. And who said I shouldn't be a pilot, right? Alright, and that is me turn. And there we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and come back to paying attention. There we go. Going back to my my heading. I'm gonna come back to 3,500. And if you guys can see my fourth flight, it almost looks like a perfect 360. So I'm very happy with that. Alright, so the next thing we're going to go ahead and do, like I said, is we're going to go ahead and make a left 180. And on that left 180, we're going to go ahead and make a climb to 4,500 feet this time. So let's go for it. So now same thing. I'm going to keep the same turn rate. I'm going to keep it about a 700, 800 climb rate. And then now what makes it a little bit harder is now you gotta really be paying attention to this airspeed, right? So it's now even more you gotta look at. And it's okay, it's no big deal. See, the shadow on the screen kind of messes you up. Oh yeah, and don't forget you also gotta look at your altitude now. See, I'm losing some airspeed there, and that's okay. Not anything dangerous. And I'm about to hit my 180. Okay, 180. You know, I did say don't look outside so much, but it does help to look outside too. So I'm on my 180, and I'm still about 4,200, and we'll go ahead and work on that climb rate. And now, since I'm not doing the turn, I just got to focus on the airspeed, climb rate, and altitude. And the turn, I just got to make sure I will stay level. Once I get to 4,500, then we'll go ahead and start working on my on the slow flight. If you guys see, that was almost a perfect 180 as well. Alright, let's go ahead and stop the climb. Now, if you guys notice, I'm not playing too much with my mixture, and I'm doing that intentionally. I don't want anything else. I don't need to focus on anything else. I'm gonna leave my mixture on ridge, and just focus on the things that I need to, not the stuff that I don't. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start this slowing down the airplane. I'm gonna get to about flaps speed. And then I'm going to throw down the flaps. Now you notice I'm kind of going off course there, and that's fine. You can fix it. Just recognize it and fix it. I'm going to put down one set of flaps. That's about 75, so another one. Alright, 65. The important thing is that you keep this altitude. They keep the altitude in the same spot, so about 4,500. We already know that we can go up or down a little bit. That's not a big deal. But what is important is that you keep track of it, and also your heading, right? The airplane is trying to go everywhere, but straight it seems to be, right? And now also add the airspeed. Now I'm keeping it at about 60, in between 60 and 65. And I want to say I have full flaps out already, so I'm perfect, right? And that's what matters, is that you can prove that you can keep that steady flight. So now let's go ahead and transition into a stall. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throttle back. I'm going to try to keep my 4,500. Same heading. Alright. And there's my stall warning. I'm waiting for it to drop. That was not a real full stall, but you see it hit 60, nice and calm. I'm gonna push it right back up. Throttle up. Now, there's something to remember. You still have full flaps, so climb rate cannot be. Your climb rate. You got to be careful with your climb rate, because then you're gonna go back into another stall. But I'm gonna go ahead and start pushing flaps back in, and I'm about 4,250. I'm about the same heading, and good climb rate. And flaps up. Now remember, every time that you do flaps up, you gotta push back on your yoke a little bit more, because you don't have that much lift helping you. And then one more flaps up. And I am soon to be back at 4,500. You know, I did mention that I was going to land at runway 26, and I have now changed my mind. Let me stop that climb. Because technically I'm kind of working, I'm almost like a crosswind for 3-2, so might as well just go back to it, right? And I need to pay attention to my altitude. Remember, the fail part is whenever you go past 300. So I'm 4,600 right now. I need to descend down to about 1,000, so I'm going to start working on that descent, and that is my airport down there. And thank you, Jose, for showing me this trick on the views. I honestly couldn't have done this thing without Jose's tip. So now this is what I'm gonna do. I'm working my my descent. I'm gonna go ahead and set my heading bug to 320. And continue at descent rate. gonna try to go ahead and do a little bit of a steeper descent. Nothing too crazy. The point is, try to see if we can get down to just enter downwind for it, and not have to enter it on the midfield on a 45 degree. Just go straight into it. A lot of the things that I'm showing you, I'm not sure if that's how they're supposed to do them. I really believe that it's the right way is to enter on a 45 degree angle midfield. But my understanding is as well is that it's not a rule. It's just what's polite and what's not polite. All right, so soon here I'm gonna be vertical with runway 32. There it is, and I'm way too high. I'm still at 3,100. So you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and make a right 360. And I'm gonna keep this track, and if anything, if we're still too high, then we'll go ahead and make that right 360. Let's have a little time to see if any questions. Look at that, disconnecting me from VATSIM, which is again no big deal, because technically I have not been talking ATC, so Pigo, we are doing trivia game tomorrow, and hopefully soon, I still don't know, but hopefully soon Laura would let us know what that trivia boss theme is going to be. And whoever asked what if I'm using STKP for your stream overlay, I got no clue, man. I have so many things running on the background. I forget names now. Yeah, you're right, Chris. Appreciate you letting me know that. And now Australia traffic number 2 on Quebec midfield for runway 32 Australia traffic. All right, and I'm hitting about 1,700, so I'm getting there. I'm just gonna extend the downwind. Ah, there we go. Sim Toolkit Pro. Yeah, that's for sure. That's it. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and focus on my flying. And I'm still at 1,300, so I'm still a little bit high. I'm extending this downwind as much as I can. And slowing down too. And this is where I typically kind of tend to struggle the most, is just knowing when to actually keep the altitude. And honestly, this is what VATSTAR instructors and mentors are really for, right? In the training. Just ask that question. I haven't, so ask it. I'm gonna make that turn. I'm gonna set one flaps down. And Astoria traffic number 2 on Quebec, turning base runway 32, Astoria traffic. And not at 500 feet. Well, that's AGL. Alright, I'm gonna stop my descent. Alright, that's my base air. One more set of flaps. Working at this end. Astoria traffic turning final runway 32. Astoria traffic. Alright, not so bad. I'm a little high, but I'll fix that. No big deal. I'm still keeping my speed at about 65 knots.
1 mile final runway 32.
Now remember, this time I'm going to do a touch and go. and then I'm gonna come back for a full landing. And I want to go ahead and correct my speed. I'm sorry, my altitude, which is essentially also giving me some speed. So I'm gonna stop that. We want to bring it right back to about 65. There we go. I don't need much runway, right, for the takeoff, so speed is not the biggest problem for me right now. But I do want to touch at some point. Alright, flaps in, full throttle. 55, and we're going back up. So now I'm going to keep my climb to at about 1,000 feet per minute. I'm going to wait till about 600 feet, and then I'm going to make my crosswind turn to my left. And I have full flaps up already, so I don't need to be worried about that. My first 90-degree turn. And I'm going to stop at 1,000. And you know, guys, make sure you stick around and do this discovery flights, because one thing that for sure traffic patterns are helpful, but they're a little stressful too, right? You got to concentrate in so many things that it could be kind of stressful. So just make sure we do this discovery flight on Tuesdays, hosted by Edward. But you want to do that, and that would help you. That would help you a ton with this patterns. You know, doing better patterns. Okay, that's my 180-degree turn. I'm going to keep it at 1,000. I'm trying to put it back up to 1,000. Now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to do my full stop. And Astoria traffic number 2, and I don't go back to midfield, runway 32, Astoria traffic. So I'm going to do a full stop and then shut down, and that is the short version of the Checkride. I'm going to go ahead and start my descent slowly. Flaps. I'm extending my downwind again, and the reason to that is I tend to struggle with the altitude. Getting to the right altitude for the pattern, and on the approach being the right height. Best thing I do is that. Astoria traffic number 2, Nanon, Quebec. Base for runway 32, Astoria traffic. Stop that. Descend. Reset of flaps. This time I'm actually gonna go 30 degrees of flaps. And I'm gonna start my final turn. Let me see if I can see it. Oh yeah, I'm still way there. Story of traffic number 2 on Quebec on final runway 32. I want to keep my speed between 60 and 65. Like I said, full flaps this time. And I see 2 red, 2 whites, so we're good on there. Now, if you guys notice, I know you guys can see my GPS screen. I did not play with it at all. Couple of reasons why, but the main one is I'm flying VFR. I don't need the GPS, though I did use for flight. There really shouldn't be much need for any of them, either of them, but that is something that on the you will be taught how to use the GPS and also how to set it up. Perfect. Now, one mistake a lot of people do whenever they land, I have learned, is to brake. You don't need to brake on a Cessna unless you really need to, but you shouldn't have to. So, and plus we have a little bit of way to go, so let me speed up a little bit. Well, but that's mainly about it, guys. There's really not much more. Well, there's more to do on the Checkride, but that is what I would like to say or call the short version of it. Unless our CFI Thomas says that I miss a bunch. I really think that the Checkride is not that complicated. You just got to pay attention to the task that you have to do, and that's where the pre-flight comes in handy. Make sure you are briefed on what you're doing. Like I printed it out and just read, make notes and all of that. And our story of traffic number 2 on Quebec, clear of runway 32, a story of traffic. But yeah, so just know what you're doing. Have a checklist on you. The worst advice that I have given you in this flight is not to use it, but for sure have it, because it's part of it. But then second of all, it will make it a heck of a lot easier. Alright. So no more avionics. Alright, so just because part of the Checkride is also the shutdown, I'm going to go through my version of it. Parking brakes are set. Avionics off. All my lights are off. I'm going to turn off my mode Charlie back to ground. Make sure full back. Turn off my magnetos. Turn off my beacon light. Turn off my batteries. And there you guys have it. If I could show you a little bit of what the flight looked like. So you saw we took off, we made that right turn, made the let me turn on the brightness. Made the left 360. You can see how it was almost perfect. Then went out here, started my climb to a 180 degree turn, also looked kind of perfect. Then out here somewhere we did the slow flight, stall, came back for my pattern, the inner line, which looks like a better pattern. That was my first one, and then the second one, it was a little bit wider. That was my second one. So there you guys have it. If I could give you some information about what's coming up, we should have the website back up. I want to say by tonight. The website should be running, and when I say tonight, to me it's only 8 o'clock. So in a couple of hours, the website should be back up, but it will not. You will not be able to register. You will not be able to log in. It's just for you guys to have something. I hate that. We are working on we're working on the website message. But then after that, around August 18, we're gonna open the website for people to log in and register and start scheduling your checkrides and your trainings and all of that. Training is gonna be handled a little bit differently from now on. You're gonna go into the website. You're gonna be reading the materials. Materials is gonna be linked to a lot of FAA stuff. So we are actually using FAA materials to do training this time around instead of writing it. Whenever you're ready, there's going to be a quiz that you can choose to take it or not. I recommend that you do, and I want to say it's about 20 questions. I might be off on that one, but you would have a quiz that you can take, and then it will kind of give you an idea on where you're falling. The quiz, you can retake it just about as many times as you want to, believe, and I'm pretty positive it's as many times as you want to. And then you can choose to skip that, or then after that, then you go ahead and just take your written exam. Before we'll make you schedule a written exam review. We're skipping that step now. You will be able to just take your written exam right off the bat. But there's a trick to it. You only have 2 tries. If you fail, and then I think it's a day lapse between them. If you fail the second try, now you actually got to send an email to cfi@vatstar.com and explain to him why you failed your written exam twice. So, study. The written exam has a bunch of questions, so the exact same question likely will not you will not get it twice. So we made it easier for you to take it, quicker for you to take it, but we also made it almost realistic. I want to say we have, I think it's about 60 to 80 questions. I want to say 60 questions on the written exam. And I think we put a bank of 120 questions. So what that means is, again, most likely that same question you get the first time, you're not going to get it. But anyways, after you pass your written exam, then you're going to go ahead and also just do your practice flight on your own. We're not going to have you schedule it with a mentor or an instructor. You're going to go ahead and do it on your own. You're going to do 2 flights, and you're going to upload them using a software called Tag Viewer. And of course, more information about all of this is going to be out whenever the website releases. So I might be saying some wrong things, but I'm pretty sure I'm on the ballpark. But it's 2 flights you're going to upload, or 1 flight you're going to upload to Tag Viewer, and it's going to be approved by a mentor or an instructor before you can schedule your checkride. If you cannot use the program, by the way, is free. There's paid versions, but you only need the free one. But if you cannot download it, if you can't figure it out, you can still schedule a mentor and instructor through Discord. It's 2. Okay, thank you, Parth. Where's Tree? I'm sorry, don't see the names. But then you go ahead and schedule. If you cannot use the program, then you just go ahead and schedule it through Discord, you schedule it only through Discord, like we've always had. Once you pass your practice flight, then you go ahead and book your checkride. Checkrides, you only be able to book them through the website only, and with an instructor. Mentors are not going to be, like always, they've never done checkrides. Then of course, once you're done with the checkride, that should look something like what we did here today, then you get your certification. So Tag Viewer is an option, and then the other option is with a mentor and all of that. Like I said, the website will be so Tag Viewer is for Windows only. Didn't know that. So if you Mac, then you gotta definitely schedule a mentor or an instructor to do it for you. Thank you, Edwin. And then we are currently working on the instrument rating lessons, and for my understanding is it should be ready by September. So we're actually moving kind of quickly on that one, thanks to Thomas. But other than that, like I said, tomorrow we have trivia game. We're gonna post information about the theme and the time in a little bit. Then the 18th is a big date. You know, you have Flight Simulator coming out. You have the new website fully opening. You have Discovery Flight. You just have that. I mean, if you're not off from work that day, or just quit school or something, you something wrong with you. But there's a lot of stuff on the 18th, this next Tuesday coming up. 2300 is a Discovery Flight on the 18th. So, and then for the flight, and if I could show you guys, it's still boxed up, man. But that's a 530. This is the 750, and I got one more back here. This is the 430, if you guys can see them. So we're going to be doing some training videos to go onto the website about the 430, 530, and 750. Most likely I'm going to go ahead and do this two first, and then separately for that one. The trivia game that we're going to give the 430 away with, it's going to be based on those videos. So once we have the videos ready, then we'll go ahead and announce when the trivia game is, and announce how to claim this puppy once you get it. This thing is brand new, given to us to give to you. Yeah, it looks, man, it's exactly like the one that I have, and I tell you guys right now, it is the nicest toy I have until I got that one, until I got the 750. But worth the price every time. So remember to join us, guys. Join us in Discord, and if you have any questions, you email me at ceo@vatstar.com, or if you have any training question, the best person to email is cfi@vatstar.com. And for the events, you can meet with Edward in Discord, or you can email him. Easiest email is pr@vatstar.com. He has a better email, but I don't ever remember it. So pr@vatstar.com. And yes, free is always a good price. Well, you guys, thank you for joining. Y'all take care, and see you on the next flight.